everyone. Today as the title says, I'm going to be talking about why I left the US to move to where I'm living now, which is Uruguay. So, a little backstory. When I was in the US, I lived in Florida. I lived in a 4-bedroom house with 5 roommates. I was sharing a room with one of my roommates. And it was a beautiful home. We had a pool. I was paying $650 to share a bedroom with someone. That's really expensive, at least for me. That's a pretty good chunk of my income. And then on top of that, I was paying over $300 for health insurance, $300 for car insurance. So it was a lot. My bills were extremely high. Another thing about me, I'm queer. I am gender fluid and attracted to all genders of people. It doesn't really matter to me. And living in Florida, that's not the safest place to be. I tend to, when I'm not dressing pretty feminine, I tend to dress really masculine, and so I have gotten harassed a couple of times. The whole, oh, you're not a boy, you're not a boy. Okay, girl, I never said I was a boy. So those were all kind of building up to reasons why I wanted to move out of the US. I was looking at moving to a different state, but when the elections happened, I quickly realized I had a bit of foresight into where this would go, that I should probably leave as soon as possible. I was no longer interested in living in the US, and thankfully for years, because I wanted to move out at the US at some point, so I'd been putting like tiny little bits of my paycheck aside every single month to be able to move at some point. I did not realize it would be in 2024. 2025, sorry, 2025. I did not realize it would be so soon. So in March of 2025, I packed my bags and actually left with one of my roommates. My first full day here in Uruguay was actually my birthday. So it was a fun little birthday present to me. Here's why I chose Uruguay. I did a bunch of research, and honestly, before I started, this is kind of embarrassing, but before I started looking into Uruguay, I was looking into Germany and Australia. Those were my two main ones just because of different visa programs they had. Germany got kind of written off when they had their elections or Parliament was doing its thing, and so Australia was looking like where I was going to go. I'm terrified of bugs. So Australia wasn't like, it was gonna be a little bit, I don't want to move there, but I'd rather not stay in the US at this point kind of move. They have a visa program for like 2 years. It's called a working holiday. So I was gonna go on that and then figure out from there where else I was gonna go. But then I think I was on TikTok, and I had gotten onto the side of TikTok where it talks about like moving out of the US. And this one lady hopped on there and she was talking in her video about like best places to move if you're queer. And I was like, ooh, hold up, wait a second, this is me. This applies to me. So one of the places she listed was Uruguay. And I had never heard of Uruguay. I knew of Paraguay because my family has friends that are missionaries that were there in Paraguay for a while, but I never heard of Uruguay. And also, the Western media, specifically in the US, tends to have a very broad brush of all of South America, that it's not a great place to be, right? Like, you hear a lot about danger and, lots of bad things that happen in the South America. And so I was like, no way, in my very ignorant state of mind, I was like, no way there's actually a country that's friendly to queer people in South America. So I started diving in to research about it, And Uruguay is a small country. It's about 3.3 million people. Fun fact, there are actually more cows in Uruguay than there are people in Uruguay. So the more I dug into Uruguay, the more I found out that not only was it extremely queer friendly and legalized gay marriage a while ago, it was also adult lettuce very friendly. And it was all about women's rights as well. And they have a visa program, which is very simple, very easy to follow. And so that's where I am right now. I've been here for 8 months. I've been here since March. So maybe 9 months at this point. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm in process of getting my permanent residency. And it's a long process. It takes about 1 to 2 years. But it's a worthwhile process because I can see myself living here for the next 5 years. Recently, I've been a little homesick, so I have thought about, depending on how things go in the US in the next 5 years, I would like to move back there at some point, but I would need to move somewhere that is much less expensive just because I don't really want to pay $650 a month for a bedroom. But other little updates, right now we being my roommate and I, are in the very complicated process of bringing my pets to me, our pets, all of that, joint custody, the pets from the US to Uruguay. It's a very long process, it's harder than getting here for us, to be honest, just because of regulations and airlines, very, very complicated. And then with the government shutdown that's going on right now and all of the delays and stuff, it's stressful. So stressful. I have a long to-do list to do in a very short amount of time because there's a lot to do. So all of those things led up to me choosing Uruguay. The quick visas, the amount of, I don't want to say liberalism, but the amount of inclusivity and acceptance of people from all walks of life. Being here has made me realize how incredibly diverse it is as well, and I love it so much. I love how walkable it is. Where I lived in Florida was very not walkable, both for safety purposes and for just sheer distance. Like, you had to drive. And here, walkability is insane. Like, yes, in some places, as every place has, in some places you might want to not go there super late at night all by yourself as like a female-bodied person. But where I lived in Florida, you could hear like pew 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 frequently. And another thing about Uruguay is that pew 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 laws are very, very strict, and so you are exponentially safer here than you would be. It is actually, I believe, I want to say, it's in the 70s of safest countries in the world. 30s or 70s, somewhere in there. I don't remember. It's been a while since I looked it up. But the US, on the opposite hand, is around the 110s of safest countries in the world. So when I say you're exponentially safer here, you are exponentially safer here. The cost of living is also lower as well. Right now I am paying more for my apartment, but it's a much newer apartment and there's enough space. And it's right in the middle of where things are happening, so I really can walk anywhere. If I need to, I can take a taxi, and those are pretty inexpensive. So if you are wondering about moving here or just have questions about Uruguay in general, please put them in the comments and I will make another video answering your guys' questions. I hope you liked this video. Please consider giving a little like and subscribe. If you want to see more content about the move, Uruguay, South America, the visa process, life updates, art, and a little bit of fashion maybe. So thank you all for being here.